get it. I don't. I mean, I get it. I get there's a certain audience for it, but at that time I didn't really understand how he was getting all these numbers. And I remember, I think after the first VidCon 3 years ago, we were friends, and he was kind of telling me all this stuff about it, and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you get these? Where do these people come from? And I sat him down. I said, can I just interview you? Can I just talk to you and put it on? Can I film it? So I shot him with 2 cameras, and I just said, I'm going to ask you some questions, and it kind of came from just hearing his responses. And this is funny because this is 3 years ago, and I wasn't even thinking about doing a YouTube documentary. I just wanted to ask him. I was going to put it up on my channel and be like, this is Mitchell. He's a friend of mine, and this is how he got started. But I would say he was an inspiration for me making this movie. Actually, he gave me a lot of inside information. I know that kind of sounds weird, but he told me about how he got started and best practices on how to do it. That video actually never made it to the internet or anything. I kind of scrapped the project, and I almost used it for kind of just my own purposes to kind of just see, what did he, how did he do it, and how do you become a YouTuber. But then, like I said before, I didn't really understand it then, but now I watch Mitchell's videos whenever he puts them out, and I don't know if it was because now that I'm really good friends with him that I enjoy his videos, or maybe that he just kind of tweaked his where he's going with his audience a little bit, but I really do enjoy his videos, and I would say he's one of the inspirations behind me making this video too. I would say another inspiration who's also in the film is Kevin Kangent from District Lines. He really jumped into this world as far as what District Lines does is they're like a T-shirt company. They create T-shirts, and they kind of really came in early and kind of took a good amount of percentage of the people who were making YouTube videos and turning what they do into T-shirts and monetizing that. After kind of just seeing what he did at his warehouse and his company, I just said, this is insane. They have a football field of a warehouse that is just, is maybe 70 to 80% just for YouTubers. I mean, there's bands and other stuff that do it, but the amount of T-shirts they press for these YouTubers, once you see it with your own eyes, and you're just like, oh my God, this is real. They're making this many T-shirts. They're making this much off of just YouTubers. I mean, I felt that there was something there that I needed to kind of document and kind of show. So I would say Kevin would probably be number 2. As far as number 3, someone I used to work with back in the day who's a really close friend of mine, and I've learned so much off of him when I moved to LA 7 years ago. His name was Dan-dobi. I met him 7 years ago, but we had a kind of a lunch about maybe 9 months ago, and we brought up the YouTube stuff, and he just said to me, he's like, what's your next project? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm waiting for money for this other for funding for this other film I'm working on. And he was, he's like, well, talk to me about this YouTube stuff. So I talked to him about it for a little bit, and he says, you need to stop what you're doing right now. You need to make this film right now. He was like, if you need money for it, let me know. I'll find it for you, but you need to make this movie right now, today. He's like, after lunch, you need to start doing this. And I feel that he definitely kind of pushed me into the right mindset of saying, do this right now. You have no options. If it's a money issue, if you need to find money, I will find it for you, because when you undertake a documentary or feature-length film, you are putting in so many hours of your time that you eventually need to make some kind of money to survive, to pay your rent, to eat. And the fact that he reached out and said, if you need money, I can find you some. But eventually I just raised, I did a Kickstarter, and that's how I kind of raised the money for the film. And then for the remainder of it, which we went so far over the budget that I thought we would have, that I was taking the money from my savings. I was getting rid of some of my stocks to kind of fund this movie, which wasn't it's one of those things where it's like you have to believe in something if you're kind of going into your savings and doing all this stuff. So long story short, I would say Mitchell Davis, Kevin Kangent, and Dan-dobi. Those are my 3 probably inspirations for making this film. Wonderful. That was a really long answer. So.
Well, it was a great question. I mean, that answered a lot. I'm sure for many listeners as well. And David always comes up with great questions. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Thank you, Pam and Don. Thank you, Dan. You're inspiring.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're getting to the top of the hour. We want to thank you very much for coming on our show and putting out all this information for people to either better their YouTube channels or to, start a YouTube channel, and you've answered a lot of questions. So I highly suggest that people purchase the documentary and watch it, and you will learn so much more. You'd be amazed at what you can learn from it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Can I give kind of one other final plug? Is that all right?
Sure, yeah.
All right, perfect. So you can, great. So you can pre-order the film right now at chill.com/please subscribe. Or if you want more consistent updates from our Twitter, just follow us at please subscribe. Our website is pleasesubscribefilm.com, and our hashtag for Twitter and Instagram and stuff is please subscribe film. Also, February 5th, guys, just kind of keep an eye out. We're going to be probably coming to a theater near you at a one-time show, at a one-time only, one day, but in multiple theaters. So February 5th, write it down. I think around 7:30. We haven't locked them down yet, but the information will come out soon. We'll have it on our site, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So just if you guys want to check it out, go for it. Or you can just pre-order it now at chill.com/please subscribe. So that's my thing. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
And we will have Dawn. Dawn is our website manager as well. Put a lot of that information on there. So if you want to go to take2radio.com, and that's the number 2, we'll also have that listed on there.
Most definitely. Be glad to do it.
Excellent. Cool.
Well, thanks again, Dan, and we look forward to seeing more from you. I know that you're successful now, but I think your success is going to grow so much more with this.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And again, thanks for having me on. This is a great time.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, so.
You guys. I'll see you guys.
Night.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
night. Good night.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
That was really interesting. Dawn and I were fortunate enough to see the documentary in full, before we did the interview, and I have to say that we learned so much from it. I mean, we just go on there to browse through to see a song by a certain singer that we love, or we go on there to watch the web series, or we go on there to, I don't know, whatever. I mean, you just go on there to find out information or listen to something. And what I found is that there is so much more content on there that I had no clue about, and how big YouTube really is, and what it can do for you besides what you can do with it.
Oh, gosh. It is unbelievable. I mean, it's like I said to him, YouTube has layers, and he summed it up as an underground because, gosh, it is. I mean, I always thought that YouTube was just, as it started, was a place to promote yourself, YouTube yourself. And for me, YouTube has just always been kind of that place where you upload the occasional video of, that's something you film that you just want to put out there, and you can really clearly see how it has evolved. And from this documentary, you can see even more that there's a lot more to YouTube that most people don't even know about. Like, before this, I would not, I've always heard of channels, but the channels that I was familiar with were channels for my favorite music artists. They almost always have their channels to promote their videos and their music, and all compartmentalized. So who knew there were shows you could watch? And Dan, I think, is really spot on about this being the next medium in entertainment. Because there's so many people that go on YouTube now for one reason or the other. And if you let one network, if they ever have a YouTube channel, I think all the other networks will follow suit because they'll have to. There'll be no way around it if they want to stay relevant and competitive. And, and when he said that, it kind of reminded me of, when the Internet became what it is. You had one big company created a website for their company, and then this company over here says, they did it, we've got to do it. And see the way the Internet is today, you can't have a business without some kind of a website, and that has become a must in terms of what you do business related. So I think YouTube, if that ever happens, YouTube will be the new TV. I really
Yeah.
believe.
Yes. Yeah,
I really believe that.
I know a lot of people, like Dan himself, says he doesn't even have TV, you know, and I find that amazing when you grew up with it and that's all you know, that there are other ways to watch things.
Well, think about it like this too. When you know, we know that there are web series popping up all over the place on YouTube. You know, and there's a lot of soap actors that were in former soaps that are no longer on major networks.
Right.
And a lot of these soap actors are collaborating, and they're doing web series, which are on YouTube. And so, you know, when you think about it, that's huge because it's giving people a chance to see their favorite in a different medium. And and it is the new TV. And then, you know, like I said, you can find clips from soap operas from 10 years ago, you know, on YouTube. And you can go back and pull up those memories all over again just because people are uploading the stuff. And who knew? I mean, the opportunities are endless. You can create a channel of just about anything on YouTube, you know.
And what's great, too, is that you can subscribe to it, so anytime they come out with something new, you're notified right away. Exactly.
And that's, you know, but I think it's the next wave of television because there's just so much more to offer. And I'm telling you, reality TV has, you know, a lot of people say that the economy is what has hurt the soap market, but I believe reality TV has too because they're cheaper to produce. And, you know, I think it's had a lot of bearing on that. And so, you know, I'm glad to see that the soap stars have found a way around that and that they're resurfacing in the form of these web series. And the thing about the web series is that they can do so many more things on the web series than they could do on network daytime drama. You know,
exactly.
Because they're not limited. And so
they can actually swear.
I know. It's kind of funny, you know, but it's, you know, daytime drama, you never hear that. You hear the occasional cuss word, but you don't hear anything like you hear on the web series. But at the same time, you know, some of the drama in daytime, it almost seems comical because some of the scenes you go, gosh, why did he not swear? You know, this calls for a swear word here, you know. But on the web series, you know, I mean, it depending upon the circumstance of the scene, of course. But then when you see the web series, and if you see that occasionally or hear it, it doesn't seem foreign because of the, you know, it's kind of like, well, this fits, you know. But you can never say that on network television, you know, without getting slapped by the FCC. So it kind of goes without saying. And so, you know, I kind of liken YouTube in a way to the Blog Talk Radio medium because whereas YouTube is video, Blog Talk is audio. And on Blog Talk, you know, there's tons of shows you can tune into. Well, the same applies for YouTube.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a very, very intriguing documentary that he has put out and very informative, very enlightening, and very eye-opening. So I would encourage anyone to get it if you can. And just view it because it's really, really neat. Really neat indeed. You'll learn a lot you didn't know about YouTube.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, I'd like to let our listeners know that tomorrow we have a guest at a different time. I just reminded myself about that. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern instead of 7 p.m. Eastern, and we have Tosh Phillips. And you go ahead and let our listeners know what she's about.
Well, Tosh Phillips is originally from the Ukraine, and she was raised in Perth, Australia. And she kind of migrated to the United States when she was 17. She moved to L.A., and she's a professional ballroom dancer, so she, you know, has been dancing pretty much her whole life. But she took interest in music and singing and is quite the talented vocalist. And so since she's been in the United States, she released an EP. And also she had a tune called California Eyes, which was recently on the Nick at Night family drama Hollywood Heights. And I'm sure all of you know who Hollywood Heights is. But it was on their feature soundtrack album. And so she, you know, has kind of gained some traction from just